Rip, there goes Kyoto. Now, this is completely and unapologetically broken, but we're gonna subjugate all of Japan. Yeah, it's just a casual 250 total income in 1563. Stonks. It's a new month and you know what that means. Maybe actually uploading something. Certainly haven't been doing a lot of that lately. Haha. Hey everyone, welcome back to Europa Universalis IV, where we put the Europa somewhere else because today we're playing in the Pacific. This video is sort of not really sponsored or / brought to you by the Patreon. In particular, one patron who wanted to see a run in Majapahit. Not just any Majapahit, but a challenge run. And by the way, patrons do get early access to videos, so if you want to watch some videos earlier than they release, and you'd like to support the channel, then the Patreon link is in the description down below. We're still inching our way closer to 30k by the day, so if there are any burning questions you'd like to ask for the 30k, then you can drop them down there as well. And finally, a VOD channel has been started up for Twitch streams, so if you happen to miss any of them, then you can find them on the VOD channel. The link is also in the description. Alright, now it's time to play this game. The challenge is pretty simple, but might take a little bit of time, which is kind of why I've put this off for so long. All I have to do as Majapahit is own every single island in the Pacific Ocean, which generally isn't so bad. The only catch, however, is that I can only own islands, except for the formation requirements for Malaya, in which case I'll have to take this one province, but that's it. That's the only exception I'm allowed. So, all the islands and only islands. What could possibly go wrong? Well, despite the fact that it's been 4 months since the launch of Leviathan, I actually haven't spent a single second on Majapahit. Well, I'm sure it can't be that bad. Let's start off by picking up Shiva, and let's deal with the estates, which will look something sort of like this, and we're gonna ask for a bit of money. I'm gonna take a wild guess and assume that our stability is going to drop here, so I'm gonna grab some national unrest, and I'm gonna focus on admin probably? Yeah, sure. Alright, so far so good. Here's to hoping nothing bad happens. Oof. Well, a bunch of bad stuff is happening here, but on the bright side, we can simply ignore that. Because the month hasn't passed by yet, our subjects are still technically loyal to us, and I got a bunch of money from our state, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pay them off a little bit. Right, that's a good start. Hopefully we can keep those guys loyal for a little while. There's step 1. Now, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to pick up another tributary somewhere along the way. I mean, this event does require one more than we have, so... Now, Mr. Damarulan here just won his 5th battle through a little bit of cheese, don't worry about that part. But the good part about this guy is that he gives us a free stability, which is perfect for what we need right now. So we're just going to go ahead and boost it up once and grab another one. Now we get to decide, do we want stability cost or national unrest till the end of the game? Clearly national unrest, I mean, that's not even a real question. Now what I'm about to do here is very expensive, but I'm going to go ahead and tributize both Kyutai and Sambas. Oh boy, this is expensive. And that will let me click this mission over here. Also, my heir here is absolute garbage, so I'm just going to go ahead and disinherit him real quick. Oh my god. Okay, it was definitely worth getting rid of that heir. Nice. Okay, it's been a long and arduous 10 years here, but we've finally been able to protect the faith for long enough. And I can use a couple of military points to strengthen legitimacy, and we're still going to have to wait about a year or two. Alright, now we can finally restore some order. And we've prevented the collapse. Yay! Part 1 is done. Now that the disaster's over, it's time for step 2. I saved up a bunch of points to get a couple of cost decreases on my techs. And it's a new dawn for Majapahit. And now that I've finished that off, I can enforce loyalty. Of course, a problem with doing this is that now you have a bunch of subjects who are much stronger than you are. On the bright side, we might be able to fix that a little bit here. We'll go with strong duchies to try and fix a little bit of that, and I'm gonna have to build up my army, of course. Actually, never mind, we're completely fine. Don't know what changed, but the subjects don't even care anymore. Alright, cool. I'm guessing they ended up deleting a lot of their army because now they're much smaller and they don't have the same force limit. Alright, well, now that all of my subjects like me so much, I wouldn't exactly mind just forcing them all to divert trade. That would be nice. And I also need to start grabbing myself the Renaissance, so let's make our development efficiency a little bit better. First of all, we'll go ahead and concentrate a little bit from our subject here. That'll make the dev in the capital 16, which is the best number in the game to start developing an institution. And that should get the institution up and running. So now we get this absolutely broken modifier of -5% development for the rest of the game. And because my capital is so much dev, I can exploit that for a fat stack of cash. And I can use that money to embrace when the time comes. Now that we've grabbed the institution and everything's fine and well, it's time to expand our empire a little bit, since I do have one open slot for relations, and we may as well make it our friend here to the west. Alright, welcome my friend to being my subject, where your right to owning land is questionable at best. Now my subject Palembang over here has some claims on all of these provinces, and as the gracious overlord I am, I'm gonna go ahead and press those claims. Okay, the admin tech is finally ready, so let's pick up our influence ideas and let's focus a little bit on Diplo. And yoink! And I'm going to sell just a little bit of land real quick, so that I can get rid of these statutory rights. Alright, first age ability, let's go with Justified Wars. And vassal number 1 is now done. Yes, Johan is truly blessed. Right, now that that's out of the way, we're gonna grab Ganesha here for more Diplo rep and for more aggressive expansion decay here. And the new heir, which is also a 63. This is gonna be a blessed run. And there goes subject number 2. So we can integrate Bali and Sambas. Integrating Bali is pretty important because they have a monument which is very useful, giving us 10% Brahmin's loyalty equilibrium. Alright, next on the chopping block for our Majapahit campaign will probably be Malaya because they control the majority of the trade around here. So if I can turn those guys into a subject, that would be great. Now, I can't directly own the land, of course, that's part of the challenge, but eventually, in order to just fill in my tree here, I am going to need to have a couple of the provinces, and I will eventually need like this or something, so yeah, I mean, I may as well. So, let's get started. And we'll vassalize you. Oh, well that's awkward. We've just inherited a war that I don't feel like fighting, but okay. And I'm just gonna give all this land over to my subject Malaya, since this isn't an island, so I'm not allowed to take it. And there we go, now we're a great power. Only took, well, 33 years. Okay, now that that's all over with, I have a bit of extra admin to use on direct conquest, so let's get started on that as well. And I happen to have a little bit of extra money, so let's go ahead and upgrade the Prambanan Temple. Alright, let's pick up the mill tech and the admin tech, and I think it's a good idea to get started on expansion ideas so I can colonize around myself. And now we're starting to run a little bit low on vassals to annex, so I think our next goal here will be for Brunei. I don't actually know if I can vassalize Brunei, but we're gonna find out anyway. Alright, now we finally have enough army tradition to get the one thing I like to take every game, which is the officer corps. And let's grab a colonist. Now we can take the eastern colonies to make colonization super fast over here. And there we are. And it's time for more conquest. And yoink. Okay, that's nearly all of Brunei. Next age ability could be either improved war taxes or higher developed colonies. Either one works just as well. I don't really seem to be hurting on money though, so I think higher developed colonies would be a little bit nicer. Okay, and there goes Palembang. I'm about to use the wrong CB. And I don't feel bad about it. Now I know Malaya has a core on this, but unfortunately I need to own every island in the Pacific, so I don't care. On the bright side, I am generous to hand these provinces over to you, but only because it's going to allow me to complete this mission and this mission. And of course, once I finish forming Malaya, I'm going to be able to use this CB against pretty much everyone. Alright, so I actually do need these provinces from Sunda, in particular this one right over here. So I'm gonna put a little bit of effort here into actually trying to be able to annex them. Also, I'm just gonna go ahead and ally Diviet real quick, so that I can pick myself up the candy shrines for the Buddha personal deity. Okay, with a massive number of modifiers, we can finally go ahead and annex Sunda. And I'm bored, so I'm gonna diplo-vassalize this guy and use his claims for some war. So, yoink, and yoink. Next stop, Bone. Unfortunately for Ternate, they are not exempt from vassalization. In fact, you make a very nice vassal. Okay, we'll go ahead and vassalize both of you for very little aggressive expansion. But we're not quite done here because my subject has a claim I'd like to press. Oof, there goes that heir. And we've integrated Sunda, wonderful. Okay, Bone can have this one province over here, and Ternate can have this one. So my subject here, in theory, should start doing a little bit of colonizing. There we go. And there's a fairly decent chance that they're going to end up spawning a couple of cloves for us, which is Very nice. Of course, I'm sure my subjects won't mind if I just concentrate a little bit of dev from their land real quick. And just like that, we're sitting at the second place Great Power. Wasn't that fast? Hey there. Welcome to halfway into the video. You know, the part where we ask a trivia question. Last time I asked you guys when the Mongol Empire collapsed, and many of you gave the correct official answer. However, the most complete answer was by far this one up on screen. So congratulations on doing a little bit of extra research. Today I ask you, how many islands are in the Malay archipelago? It's one of the largest archipelagos in the world with over 20,000 islands. But how many exactly? Well, that's for you guys to guess, and potentially for one of those comments to show up in the next one. Good luck, and try your best not to cheat. All this dev, but we're still not Malaya yet. Well, we can fix that. You see, the best part about having allies is being able to betray them whenever possible. So I hope Viet wouldn't mind, but I'm just gonna give these provinces away to Ming to get them to leave the war. That'll be cool, thanks. And suddenly this just became a whole lot easier. These 3 provinces, full money, war reps, and we're good to go. Now, I said, hey, I can't own any of this stuff over here. Well, I just sort of have to form Malaya real quick, which I'm gonna do. And of course, we're gonna name ourselves the Majapahit Empire. And unfortunately, the Paradox Wiki's down for maintenance right now, but I'm pretty sure the Malaya ideas are better, so I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say, yeah, we're gonna take them. I mean, yeah, they look pretty good at least. Right, so these 3 provinces, I'm going to concentrate the dev, hand that off to Malaya, or Malacca in this case, and we will go no further into the mainland. In fact, I might even release Malacca. Not sure yet. We don't want any mainland provinces, so I think this is the most lenient I can be about this. And we can also pick this up real quick. Oh hey, that's pretty good. Let's start working on the integration of Brunei real quick. Alright, the truce with Pasai is up. Fortunately though, this time I have claims, so... well, that was quick. And would you look at that, #1 great power in 1505. Nice. Okay, we've gone ahead and integrated another one of our subjects. And why annex just one subject when you can annex 2? Alright, we're starting to cap on points a little bit, so it's time to spawn the institution, I think. There we go. 1 subject's annexed, and another must be created. And these guys are plotting to steal my siege, so I'm just going to declare on them. So we're going to turn Tondo into a vassal, and we're just going to take this one province here. Tondo was a tributary under Ming, but obviously we couldn't have that, so, you know, the better option is just vassalization. Ooh, yeah, now that is some good stuff. And for the heck of it, we may as well just finish off the Philippines. And yoink. Okay, the next idea group is available for us, so it's time for us to start exploring. And with that final annex, we're done in Southeast Asia. I don't know why, but I actually just entirely forgot that Australia has tags on it now. Like, just for some reason, I completely forgot about this. Looks like a lot of them decided to become steppe nomads for some reason, which is weird. At least they don't have like 30 dev capitals, so that's some progress. Right, anyway, let's annex you, and let's annex you. Also, Malacca decided to swap back to Sunni, even though I converted them to Hindu, so unfortunately it seems I'm going to have to enforce that again. There we go. Alright, I think we're just about ready to get started. Rip, there goes Kyoto. Now, this is completely and unapologetically broken, but we're gonna subjugate all of Japan. Turns out his vassals don't transfer over, but you know what, that's probably for the better, to be honest. Anyway, now we can become an empire. That's cool. But yeah, we're gonna be dealing with this for a while. But now that I've subjugated Japan, obviously at some point I'm gonna have to annex Ashikaga. So when I do that, I'm probably just gonna give all this land back to Korea or something. Alright, we've finally done it. Ming is no longer a potential rival for us. So yeah, rest in peace my power projection, I guess. Yeah, nothing quite like sitting here colonizing and stuff. Well, at least we've made Japan happy so I can start stealing a little bit of his dev. And I'm gonna ask for a little bit of your trade, and I'm gonna send the merchants up into there. And now we, do a little bit of trolling. Yo, Ming, are you alright there, bud? Ooh, that's not looking so good. So the mandala system has been fairly useful for getting my capital to 250 dev, but despite my best efforts, I just can't seem to get more governing cap. I've built a disgusting number of courthouses, I've given all my privileges away, There really isn't much else I could do except have fewer states, but where's the fun in that? So we're gonna swap over to an autocracy. Oh god, oh no. The Europeans are coming. Just gonna quickly try and slow them down by colonizing a little bit real quick. Yes. Colonization. There we go. Now if Europe wants to colonize, they'll have to reach all the way over to Christmas Island first. Or they could just buy some land, I guess. That would also work. Right. Anyway, looks like Ochi just finished integrating their subjects, so it looks like it's time for me to turn those tables around. Alright, I have a kind of weird plan over here with Korea, since I will eventually need this one province. Let me see if I can vassalize them real quick. And we finally finished off exploration, which will give us even more global settler increase. And that should be enough to offer vassalization to Korea. Now the plan with Korea is to take this one province away from them, and then when I integrate Ashikaga, I'll be able to give all these provinces back to Korea, and then I'm gonna release them. This way I get to keep the island, but I don't have to own the rest of Korea. Now, Australia is technically a continent and not an island, however we're playing EU4, and in EU4, it doesn't consider it a continent, so I'm just gonna have to consider it an island and maybe take over the whole thing. Starting with a couple colonies on this side. And ripping. And it's time for us to get started in Australia. Real quick, I'm just gonna put a small colony down here since I can't be bothered to fight someone over it. There really isn't a reason to not full annex all of these guys, so I think I'm just going to. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a little bit of overextension, but once I finish colonizing 3 of these provinces and coring 2 of them, then the rest is just going to go to my colony anyway. There we go. And we'll turn you into a self-governing colony so you can colonize just a little bit faster. Of course, at this point, subsidies are a necessity, or else they're really not going to colonize that much. I've been waiting a long time for this one, but finally we can annex Ashikaga. Sure is going to take a while, though. Oh well. You know, I'd say we're making some fairly decent progress. It's been just over 100 years or so, and we own pretty much all of Japan, and we're colonizing pretty well in the Pacific here. The only problem that I don't know how to solve is what to do with Hawaii. I can't really fabricate a claim, and there's no way I'm gonna wait until imperialism, so I might just have to no CB. Yeah, it's just a casual 250 total income in 1563. Stonks. We went from starting off as a fun challenge to playing genuinely what I think is one of my best starts ever. Unfortunately, we're really throwing it away by being unable to invade any of China, but I mean, if any of you feel like picking up this save and continuing it for yourself, then I'll drop it off in the Discord. Turns out there are a few islands left for us to conquer, actually. So let's start with Ryukyu. And yoink. And we're not quite done with Japan yet. Okay, there's just one thing I actually need from Manchu here, and that's just this little province up here. It's technically part of an island, so yoink. This annexation is taking too long for my liking, so I'm just gonna enforce religion real quick. See, they don't even mind that much. And we can't forget about these guys down here, of course. Alright, just gonna go ahead and annex these guys as well. Okay, I seriously doubt that this run's gonna last another 50 years, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pop my golden era right now. Okay, next up, I think this is going to be the last war in Australia. And then we have to deal with New Zealand, Tonga, and I think just these 2 provinces of China. That should be it, I think. Except for this province, I also need this. So we can full annex you, and you, and you. Okay, next up we have these guys. Before we declare that other war, there's just one last thing for us to do, and that is to give away a couple of provinces. Because now we just annexed this land over here, so we're gonna have to give this back, and we're gonna have to give all of these provinces over to Korea. And now that we've given the land back, we're gonna have to break vassalization with Korea. Next up, we can also go ahead and annex Ochi, and naturally we can accept some Japanese cultures. Okay, now we can continue. Okay, now there are just a few more wars left, such as the one against Ming for these 2 provinces here. Knock knock, it's me. And yoink. So, now we're finally getting to one of the last wars. All I need is the one province, and they don't really seem to mind if they just hand it over, so... Now we're close, but we're not quite done yet. I saved this one for last because it was by far the worst one to do. I have to no CB because there's no way I can get any sort of claim or anything else until imperialism. So, it is what it is. And there we have the full annex. So that pretty much concludes our island-only run, because after this there isn't really a whole lot to do except for waiting for this integration and waiting for a couple of colonies to finish. We control every single island in the Pacific, and we have only islands, except technically for this little part over here. This was my first time playing Majapahit, and as you can tell, they are extremely broken, to be honest. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. The income's 275, the total dev is this. Here are the ideas, here's the military, here are the estates. Speaking of which, states, and religion. Owning a bunch of islands isn't a unique sort of run. Of course, there is a man achievement for doing that, but going with islands only is something a little bit different that I haven't tried before. If you enjoyed today's video, maybe you could leave it a like, that would be much appreciated. Or if you really liked it, then of course you can go ahead and subscribe even. This is Quarbit signing off on the island only run, and as always, have a fantastic day. As always, huge thank you to the wonderful people up on screen. Big shout out to Ben Greenhagen, Brennan Arsenault, Dire Avenger, Quiet Guy, Torvald, Bouncer Steve, Commander Natsuki, Robert Caleno, Rockbox 2020, Snow Raven, Chewy Shoot, and The Watcher for being particularly fantastic patrons this month. All of the people up here had access to this video early, so if you'd also like to have early access, then the Patreon link is in the description down below. And if you want to check out some more cool videos, then personally I recommend some of the ones that you're seeing on your screen right here.